Chapter 4. Byzantine Betrayal. February 1071 CE, 463 H. It has been 8 years since the passing of the first great Seljuk Sultan, Tugrul Beg. Alp Arslan has succeeded his uncle and is campaigning with his army in Syria at the foot of the fortified walls of the city of Aleppo. Alp Arslan's path to power had not been easy. In his early years, he accompanied his uncle Sultan Tugrul on numerous military expeditions. As he grew older, his father Kagri decided that his son should be well versed in not just warfare, but also on how to govern. He was given administrative duties in Khorasan at an early age, where he would meet one of the greatest political and administrative figures in Islamic history, Nizam-ul-Mulk. Once a sultan, Nizam-ul-Mulk would become Alp Arslan's most trusted and influential vizier. When Tugrul passed away in 1063 CE, Alp Arslan defeated his other uncle and his brother to become the sole ruler of the lands between the rivers, Oxus and the Tigris. His early campaigns were against fellow Turkic tribesmen whose desire for autonomy needed to be thwarted, after which he campaigned in the north to subdue the Armenians and the Georgians. Once his power base and its surrounds were secured, he began his most ambitious operation to drive back the Fatimids into Egypt, forcing them to vacate Palestine and Syria. He would first have to bring the Arab and Kurdish tribes in the region under his control, after which perhaps, if things went exceptionally well, he could remove the Fatimids altogether. Fortunately for Alp Arslan, the Fatimids were in decline due to a devastating famine that had crippled the Egyptian economy and affected the military. Having sensed such weakness, the Syrian territories began to revolt against the Fatimids, hoping to carve out their own personal kingdoms. Alp Arslan had also reached a truce with the Byzantine Emperor, the other major political power in the region. The once great Roman Empire lost some of its prestige when the early Muslim armies drove them out of Syria and Egypt. However, they have been regaining their might of late. Campaigns in Eastern Europe had been fruitful, and now the Byzantines turned their attention to Asia Minor. The decline of the Abbasids had unleashed Turkic horsemen who were constantly ravaging the lands and causing chaos in the eastern Byzantine territory. These were free riders that took orders from no one, not even the Seljuk Sultan. In Constantinople, the Emperor Romanus Diogenes' key strategy for Anatolia was to push the frontiers further east and secure the front lines. As the emperor was new to his post, his considerations also involved achieving some military success to solidify his position and enhance his prestige. Eventually, he settled for a defensive policy, coming to a truce with Alp Arslan, and essentially leaving the Seljuks and Fatimids to battle it out amongst themselves. For Alp Arslan, things were looking up. The Byzantine distraction was put to rest for the time being. Also, the Sharif of Mecca informed him that the Khutbah would be recognizing the authority of the Abbasid Caliph and the Seljuk Sultan instead of the Shiite Fatimid Caliph. Further, the Byzantines would be limiting their ties with Cairo as they reinvigorated diplomacy with the Abbasids. Against the backdrop of these developments, Alp Arslan finds himself in Syria, pounding the obstinate walls of Aleppo. Unlike some of the smaller towns in the region that were willing to accept Seljuk suzerainty, the Aleppan emir, Muhammad ibn Nasir, was more than ready to endure a long siege. This was not the response Alp Arslan was hoping for. A full-fledged assault on Aleppo was undesirable, as the city was critical to the defensive line against the Byzantines. Over the years, the Seljuk military forces had evolved. No longer were they hordes of Turkic horsemen bound by tribal values. they were far more professional and ethnically diverse, including Arab and Kurdish elements. The core of the force was the Ghulam, an elite unit of mainly slave origin. Whereas the loyalties of the tribal horsemen could waver, that of the Ghulam was never in question. The Seljuk horse riders preferred open warfare, where they could use their speed and horse archery with devastating effect. Siege warfare, however, was not their forte. Nevertheless, Alp Arslan persisted, and to his delight, the Aleppan walls, though, were starting to breach. Hopefully, the emir would yield soon. It is at this critical moment that Nizam-ul-Mulk comes rushing up to Alp Arslan. The Seljuk leader is wondering if perhaps the Aleppan emir has finally succumbed and wanting to negotiate terms. But the look on the face of Nizam al-Mulk is not one of elation, but rather of deep concern. Not far behind trailed a northern scout. Both Alp Arslan and Nizam al-Mulk look at each other knowing exactly what the other is thinking. How could we have missed this?